Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk Music RVA. My name is Charles Mans, and my friend over there is Mr. Bill McGee. And we've got a special guest today. It does me great honor to have this gentleman on the program. Multi-talented, come from a multi-talented family. Just runs in the bloodline, I believe. And the fact of the matter is, they've been all over the country, all over the world. But Muzi got extra talent. He said, music stopped. I'm moving on to something else. I got other talents going on in the background. So, Bill, do the honors and introduce our guest today.
Well, I want to introduce a gentleman that I have known for 50 years, well respected. And then in actuality, we're connected even further than that because he and my wife grew up in the same, within 3 or 4 doors from each other. And his mother taught my wife when she was in elementary school. And it's just, we just go way back. So he is known as Muzi Branch.
I knew this guy as Phil long time ago.
My wife calls him Philip. She always refers to him as Philip. And so this is Philip Muzi Nkabinde Branch, a bass player.
Well, bass player? I don't know. I was art director. I would say theater of the arts director. He was with the branches of the arts. They had a fantastic thing going on many years ago. I got my first plaque for that play came from the branches of the arts. And I tell you,
we are about to reboot that. We have to honor the folks right here in Richmond. We have to recognize each other because sometimes we, get overlooked in those other communities. So we are trying to reboot the branches of the arts awards.
And it was because of the branches of the arts and people like yourself, your brother, of course, Larry Bland and a few others. These folks just had so much things going on.
Muzi, tell us about your education.
Well, P. Muzi Branch, I am a bassist, a musician, an artist, and an arts administrator. I started out like most folks in Richmond Public Schools. My first band teacher was Mr. Royal Singleton.
Yes.
I was at Royal. I was with Royal from 4th grade all the way through junior high. Then at Maggie Walker, I met Joe Kennedy. So these were these powerhouses. I never got to be with Dave.
Dave Williams, Dave Hoggett, Dave Williams, right.
I never got to be with him, but we had some great music teachers because they didn't just teach; they also performed.
Right. Yes.
Joe was Benny Carter's cousin, and he played with Ahmad Jamal, and then he would come back and teach us in the fall. And so we had, that
and the Richmond Symphony, Symphony,
first African American.
That's right.
He and Royal Singleton.
Yes.
Royal played oboe.
French horn. Oh no, he played oboe. Played oboe, and Joe was violin, and those were the first 2 African Americans in the Richmond Symphony. So those were my teachers. And when I came out of high school, I got married at 17.
Yeah, what?
I got married at 17 years old, right out of high school.
All right.
So that was a detour of sorts, but I still was into the music. I started on bass. I'm just giving you the background. I started on bass with Plunky bought a bass because he saw my man Robinson that played with Brother Love.
Carlton
Robinson.
The way Carlton could play and sing.
Yes.
So Plunky was impressed with that and bought a bass. He was supposed to go to Columbia in the fall. Right. And his graduation money, how they gave you gifts for graduating high school, he took that and bought a bass.
Right.
My parents were furious. Did not let me take that bass to New York, and he left it at the house. That's why I got it.
Look out.
The first song I learned was Working in the Coal Mine, Going Down, Down, Down.
1970, that's when we started Brother Love, Carlton and myself and Clement, and we first started.
That's why I say you guys were a big influence on me because with Trussell and Brother Love and y'all were making records and doing stuff. So I said, I want to do that too. So when Plunkett came back to Richmond, that's when I joined the group. And in fact, he had two bass players at that time. He was following the lead of Pharoah Saunders, who had Cecil McGee and Stanley Clark.
Right. Ooh, yeah.
And so Plunkett had me and Ken Shabalala, who was the original bassist with, Juju. And so that's when I started playing double. We had two bass. Wow. And then Shabalala left, and I became the bassist for the group.
Now, other than playing the bass, your involvement with the arts extend to?
Okay, I actually went to college. I went to school for the arts, for art. Even though I played music in the band, elementary, middle school, and high school, I was playing drum. And I don't say drums because I played drum. I was not able to get the coordination of the foot. So I then went to the bass when Plunkett gave me that, or he didn't give it to me when he left that bass at home.
So you went to college for your art.
I went to college for art because when I was a senior in high school, back then you couldn't leave high school. Even though I only had two courses that I needed to take. You had to take government, and then you had to take your English.
English 12, yeah, and government 12.
And so that's all I had to take. But they wouldn't let you out of school. So I had two art classes and two band classes.
Sounds about right.
In my senior year.
Right.
So then I had to make the choice which one I was going to do when I went to college. So I got accepted to VCU, went through art school. While I was in art school, I still played with Plunkett the entire time, switching from drums to bass. And I think that did help me with my timing because I started with, reading music, the charts of how, time signature and quarter notes, half note. So my timing was good, especially for what we were doing. We were doing mostly avant-garde jazz when Plunkett first came back to Richmond. And I joined the group.
Right.
So and it morphed into, you guys were the competition. You guys were getting all the gigs. And so we had to then say, well, we're going to have to play some R&B and some music for Richmond because Plunkett had come from California and New York where progressive music was okay. But when you come to Richmond, it's a different palette, musical palette that you have. So we were trying to do what you guys were doing. We would start playing a song, a popular song, and then morph it into what we wanted to do. Because we also knew in the music business, you had to have your own originals.
Right.
So we were writing music a lot.
Style, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. You remember a gig that you all did at VCU in the old gym, I think it was. Well, I know it was the old gym because they hadn't built the Siegel Center.
Right.
And I think Roy Ayers or somebody else, was it Roy Ayers?
Probably was Roy Ayers.
Yeah, probably Roy.
We were managed by the same booking agency.
Right.
Charisma out of Washington, D.C. And they had Roy Ayers, Gil Scott Heron,
Bobby Humphrey.
Brute.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, Brute.
Brute would come down and tear up the Ebony Island.
Talk about
all the time.
Talk about competition. Oh, yes.
So they were booking us. So we would play with Brute, we'd play with Roy, we would play with Gil. And so that got us into, into that pipeline.
Right. So what was the connection with St. Paul? You said I was surprised to hear you went to VCU. You taught at St. Paul.
I taught down at St. Paul. I taught art down. I've taught at St. Paul. I taught at Virginia Union, and I did some stints with down at William and Mary, but mainly at the HBCUs.
Right. Well, I knew there was a St. Paul connection, but I didn't know you did underground at VCU. So then your work at MCV. Oh, how long were you at MCV?
18 years. Because I would say that I had to support my art. Meaning I was not making enough money in the art field, so I had to have a job to support my art.
Right.
I supported my art at work so that I could be an artist. And
Awesome.
so
Right.
all the time.
Not
And that's,
unusual.
we were always in the arts. When we started branches of the arts, when you're talking about branches of the arts, I'm sure you talked with Plunky that we sued the state.
Yes. Yeah. I'm familiar with that.
We were the first band to play at Dogwood Dell, and they wouldn't even put us in the bowl then. We were up on the balcony of the War Memorial for our
Right,
first
right. Where the Carolina
Well,
is that
that's the
right?
war meeting. We were
Right.
up on the balcony. I remember my grandmother came to that gig. So we were
Wow.
the first black group to play because when I was young, you go to recreation and parks at Dogwood Dell, they played Dixie before every
For sure. That's right.
and
We
they
come
said,
a
stand
long,
up for the
we
national
come a
anthem of
long
the
way,
South.
and we got a long way to go.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we still got a long way to go.
Yes. Yes.
So
We got because you had a colored job, you had a black job over there at MCV, not a colored job. I think about you was in a colored fraternity or a colored sorority, but you had a black job down at MCV.
yeah, I was director of arts and healthcare. It was a great experience because we asked for permission. We asked for
That's
permission.
for forgetting,
And so
right?
that's
Right.
what I was doing there. I
Right.
brought Chuck Brown twice. We were raising money for the sickle cell
Okay,
chair.
that sounds
Right.
good.
Chair for the sickle cell program or that department. And we brought Chuck Brown. I was doing concerts to raise money. I had concerts in the lobby every Wednesday. So I was bringing the music into the hospital. I had musicians play in the rooms of patients.
Fantastic.
Because
Fantastic.
as we know, when you heal,
It.
Yes,
it is physical, mental, and spiritual.
yes,
Yes.
The arts in healthcare department was that connection to the spiritual and the cultural and intellectual. Doctors, they come in and give you a needle or tell you what to do. My folks came in and made you happy. So I
Right.
had music therapy, art interventions. We had the concerts. So I served the employees, the
elderly,
the guests,
elderly,
and the patients.
right.
So we served everybody.
You know, music therapy. Just to sidebar a little bit, music therapy is still one of the most underrated fields in the world when it.
There's a process that music therapists use when people can't speak, they can sing.
Oh
Yes.
They
Yes.
teach people to say, "I need some water." They can do that, but they can't just
Right.
say, "I need some water."
Right.
It's something about the brain and music, and we all know that.
Right.
That
Yeah.
it sparks, it fires all of those.
But that is so rewarding to myself as well. I mean, it's just to know the impact
Sure.
and just to feel the warmth that you get from these people, because you're doing something.
I'm gonna go even deeper because I see music as vibration.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a vibration. And
Yes,
this whole thing that we are in is a vibration.
Oh yeah.
And music is that language that is so universal that everybody can relate to it. That
So
vibration.
But your art is the same thing. Your art does the same impact.
Absolutely.
your art,
Visual. We moved
Yeah.
into a visual society.
yes.
Okay.
You may go to the restroom and there's a picture of a figure with a dress and a figure with legs, and that's how you know to go which bathroom to go to. We have to be what we call visually literate now.
Right. Well, it's so interesting that you said that because in my teaching at Virginia State, I start off teaching about what is sound, what is noise, but then I get into frequency. And in studying frequency, you have to teach them about waves. Not only sound waves, but light.
Yes.
Because of the frequency, right? And I teach them about how your brain, I go into the whole thing about how your brain interprets through your eyes and through your ears the light, the frequency, the vibrations, the waves. So colors, that's why all three of us know so well how music implies color.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Music implies color. And we all, and all of that has been introduced and intertwined as you delve deeper into your music. You realize that you're creating color, dissonance, rhythmic dissonance and all that. So just to leave it off, I teach them that the human voice is the most versatile instrument that we have, and it is one of the first instruments that we have. The human voice, because a baby cries.
Every instrument is trying to mimic the human.
Yes.
Every instrument.
Yes. And if it's not mimicking a human voice, it's mimicking the sounds of animals. I get them to listen to, I get them to think about being in the plains of Africa. Mm-hmm. Before written history, before all of this stuff was going on. I said, picture yourself being in the plains of Africa and you're listening and you're seeing the colors over the Serengeti. You're seeing the oranges and the yellows and the reds, and you're hearing all of these sounds, man. And so it's so cool to be with people that understand that's what's here.
You know, I think 50, 60 years ago, when I first came across you two guys, I mean, I've always had admiration and respect for your brother. You know, he to me, he is a walking educator of music, period. Yeah. So I've always had that kind of respect for you because you seem to reach beyond just playing notes on stage. Okay. And go back,
I think that's that African concept of everything is used for something. That you know, we went through that period in, I want to say, the 70s, that we were doing art for art's sake. That art didn't have to have any other reason to exist other than to be there. And you had all these abstract expressionists that, you know, art is the only area that we have a creation that you can call it untitled. I think there was one musician who wrote a tune called
a song that didn't have a name, huh?
He called it, but art is only, you can put it up there and say untitled.
Right.
We as musicians usually don't do that. We're going to have a title and name it. And in the African concept, naming something was very important. It set the tone for its whole existence. That's why they would name their children such royal names, because they wanted to live up to that. And so the African concept of what we were doing in music is that it was used for a tool to educate. It's used as we always used to say, party with a purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, look, while we're doing that, tell us about your new music. You got some music out there in the world. Yeah, tell us about it.
I will tell you. Okay. As I am now retired from VCU, and I guess I'm officially a senior, and we know that I've lived longer than I have to live. I recorded some stuff some time ago, even back when I was with Blackfire Records. I was supposed to be one of the Blackfire artists. You know, they had EU, Plunky and Oneness, they had Asante, they had all those folks, and I was going to be one of the artists. They ran out of money while I was in the studio. So this project that I am doing has some music that was recorded all the way back at that time. This album has 15 songs, and it's called Good Intentions. In that title, I'm even trying to teach that, you know, we can intend to do good, but sometimes what we intend may not be the best thing that should be going on.
So where can people find your Good Intention?
I'm on all of the streaming services. Search for P. Muzi Branch.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that a lot of people know is that you have worked with your brother for so many years, and he is the consummate band leader. In working with him, tell us about some of the places that you all traveled to.
Okay. Well, we've gone to, you know, Europe, Paris, London. We went to Africa. So we played New Morning Club in Paris. We played the Jazz Cafe in England.
Right.
Then we traveled to Africa, to Ghana, for the Year of the Child. Now that was a tour. If you look at the early records of Plunky and Oneness, or Plunky and Oneness, I was writing a lot of the material.
So another question, what are you planning for the future?
Okay. I would say I'm doing me. That's why I put out the album. I'm going to now focus on some me because I was focusing on, you know, I believe in service, and I was serving people at VCU and serving people when I was in the education field and serving. But I now want to turn some attention on me. I'm doing my art, doing my music. Well, see, my art goes back to connection with the music because I was doing the album covers for Black Fire. I was
Right.
sort of the art director for Black Fire Records and for Name Brand Records. So the first records that we were putting out, I did the artwork for. So the art has always been in. But for me, I'm an art educator. I did not teach music, although, as I told you, I was torn. I took two music, two arts, and I had to, which one am I going to do? Which music? So I chose the arts because I will say I gravitated toward making images and saying a message with the art.
What about young people? Young
Young
people
people,
that you teach, How do you encourage them or motivate them to be expressive in their art or in their music? How do you encourage them?
encourage them by example. Show them what I'm doing in the arts and music,
Right.
then tell them how I'm doing it, and get them to sort of just follow that sort of game plan. So to inspire them, as I say with most professors, if you want to inspire your students, you have to do what you're doing.
One thing that we all knew about the music teachers that we all worked with here early on is that they were also performers. And that was one of the things from Johnny Payton, Dave Hoggett, Dave Williams, Tuscan Jasper, Joe Kennedy, that whole crew, man, they were gigging as much as the young folk, man. As
That's another thing that I would tell young people. Your education is a tool, and it's something that for you to use. Even the tools that they teach you in the education field, like reading, I tell them reading is it's a tool. It's like a shovel. And if you are digging for treasure, and I tell you to dig right here, and that's all you're going to find. But once you got that tool, you can go over here and dig, and you can go over there and dig, and you can. So I say use those tools to broaden your horizon and your outlook and your whatever it is that you are seeking to do. There are so many sources, especially now that we're in this digital age of computers. It's different than when we were going through the card catalog and having to flip through cards. You can now just say, Siri, tell me, show me. And so I tell them to use the technology, use the tools at your disposal.
We've only got a few minutes left, but I want you to touch on something that you and Bill were discussing when we first started, and that is the new tools for marketing, the new tools used to sell your product is a lot different today. I do a workshop comparison the advertising agency of the 1950s to today's marketing strategy. I came up at a time where we had record deals. They were paying us to go to the studio to record our own stuff. We were lucky enough to get those recording contracts. Today, these individuals are lucky enough, they get their music out. They don't need a record company. They have ways to market their material, manage their material, still own their material, and all about selling their material. They have a way to do that today with just a laptop or with a cell phone or a tablet.
Even creating the music. Charles,
that's correct. That's correct.
Because when we were in it, it was the 2-inch tape, and you had to have the studio time, and you had to, you didn't go in there and play around.
Toys to play with today. I mean, they're tools, but to me, the toys I get to play with are just so much fun. And I mean, it's a shame that I have that much fun doing it. It's work, but it's so much fun.
And that is why I think all of us, the three of us, look the way we do, because what we have done with our life has been fun.
Yes.
We made sure that, the music and the arts, being creative. And I always say the first thing that they said that God did was create. And when we do that creating thing, it makes you happy. When you create beauty instead of havoc, when you create melody instead of dissonance, when you do creating, and that's what I truly enjoy. That being a creative.
Harmony instead of chaos is what we're looking for right now in the world. Muzi, thank you very much, man, for gracing us with your presence.
I am honored. I am honored because, see, I've watched your sessions with all of the folks from Richmond and heard their stories. And I was saying to myself, boy, I would like to do that. And now I have done it. And I just thank you two brothers for this is going to be, this digital stuff will be here forever.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What you are doing is so important. And
that's why we call out names, man, because somebody says as long as somebody knows your name and calls your name out, you're still alive. And that's why we love to honor the Joe Kennedys and Jaspers and Johnny Paytons and Dave Williams and Dave Hoggarts and that whole Royal Singletons. We call them all out, man, because we want them to live on and we want their legacies to live on even after we're gone. So we call those names. And that's why we calling out the name Philip Muzi Nkabinde Branch, bass player, artist, educator, fantastic person, got married at 17, which knocked me off my feet.
Don't forget, reach out to me, reach out to Bill. Anything we can do to participate in that branch of arts idea.
Absolutely. And I will say to folks, if I can give this one last plug, my website is bestblackartimages.com, www.bestblackartimages.com. And my music is on that website also. I call it Muzi Graphics and Fine Art and Music.
All of that will be included in this program, I guarantee.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I have enjoyed this because, y'all, I told you, y'all my inspiration. Trussell and Brother Love. Come on now.
God bless you, my brother.
Love y'all.
Love you as well.